I just want to give you a quick overview of where we might go today. I have some slides. I try to keep it light and lively after that really dreary intro. But these are some of the ideas that we'll cover, and we'll get going here. So water has some pretty amazing properties. I love this picture because it looks like she's walking on water, of course. And I'm sure you know some of these things, but water has some mythical properties. It's one of the four classical elements. It's foundational to our health. I mean, when NASA is going out looking for life on other planets, they don't go looking for McDonald's, they go looking for water on other planets because it is the key to life. And I think we often take it for granted. I mean, I know I certainly have in the past, spraying it all over my yard and not thinking very much about how scarce it really is. And that is true. Water is incredibly scarce. It's a relatively small quantity of water in reserve in the earth. It's about 1% of our drinking water supply, which is replenished in aquifers every 1 to 10 years. It's not a renewable source. So there's a huge amount of water that is renewable, but our drinking water is not really all that renewable. And it needs to be filtered. It's not instantaneous. I used to have this Pollyanna idea that, oh, it's raining, and that means, you know, we're getting water right away. It's actually a much more sophisticated and complicated process. And so most of my message today, if I don't get to this at the end, is to encourage people to conserve water. That's the first step. So let's talk about why water is important at all. I'm sure you saw in the invitation for this that water is a major element of our Constitution. Depending on the stats that you read and your age and how much fat you have, because that has a big impact on water, you're about 50 to 70% water as an adult. And that's a composite number. There's areas in your body that are dramatically more water. For example, your lungs are about 90% water, which I always find ironic, thinking that, God, that's the one thing that could kill you really quickly is inhaling water. But your lungs are actually 90%, your brain is somewhere around 70%, and children, interestingly, are much higher in water. Their brains are about 95% water, and their bodies tend to be trending upwards of 70, 80% water. So when you think about you as a system and trying to replenish water, you can see that it's a really important element to you, and you're losing a huge amount of it every day. You're losing a cup of water just by breathing and speaking. You're losing 6 to 7 cups by sweating. If it's warm out and you're active, you're losing considerably more. And I like to tell people right at the top, because an important question is about hydration when you're talking about water. How do you know if you're adequately hydrated? There's a lot I'm sure you've seen on the internet. It used to be this idea of telling everybody to drink 8 cups of water a day. When you tease that out and wonder, well, where did that recommendation come from? It actually wasn't based on any science. It was just sort of a, well, we have to tell them something. It was just something that was thrown out there. The more sophisticated analysis, when you're trying to do an equation about what you're losing every day and how much water you need to run your metabolism, most people tell you that you need to drink about half your body weight in ounces of water a day, which is pretty considerable. So for most of us, that's significantly more than 8 cups of water a day. And then, of course, the quality of the water that you drink is absolutely critical, and we'll get to that in just a minute. One of the easiest ways to decide if you're drinking enough water is to look at your urine. I kind of jokingly talk to my patients and say, if you're not comfortable looking at your urine and your feces, you're about to get really comfortable with it, because it's really important in identifying your health. If you look at most animals, like dogs or cats, they go to the bathroom, they turn around and smell their bathroom, like if it's urine or feces, they'll sniff it, they'll look at it, and then they'll cover it up. And the reason why most animals do that is because it's a really good indicator of your health. What are you putting out in your feces, for example? It's just a sidebar. It's really important to know, are you digesting your food? If you're seeing undigested food other than corn, because no one can digest that, but if you're seeing lots of green vegetables and undigested food in your stool, or it's starting to look shreddy, or the color isn't dark brown, or it's floating instead of sinking, those are all indicators that something's off in your system, and that's kind of the check engine light. You need to delve deeper. With urine, it's really important to look at it and look at the color. I'm sure most of you know this, because we like to teach our kids that, when you're looking at your urine, you need to be drinking enough water to keep your urine looking almost clear. It should be a very light yellow or almost clear color. And I've surprised myself. As I've already admitted, I'm a major, passionate, ardent looker of water and which kind do I have, and always focusing on it, walking around in the community with my clean canteen. And I'm surprised sometimes to realize, gosh, I don't think I'm drinking that clean canteen. I think it's only halfway gone at the end of the day. And you can see that in your urine. So I encourage you to do that. We'll get into clean canteens and carrying your water in just a few minutes.